Well, hello, my name is Brandon Boland. I'm an 8th grade teacher at Westwood Middle School.
And I am Danielle Janite. I am a former Rawlings Elementary School teacher. We are here with Dr. Leanetta McNealy, who is running for re-election for school board. So we are here just as teachers. We wanted to hear from you, ask you a few questions that have been compiled by different teachers, and to get your thoughts on some different things as you are running for re-election. So our first question for you, what are your main goals to improve the school district overall for teachers and for students?
Well, as you probably have heard over weeks and weeks, and one of my top priorities is closing the academic and performance gap between children who look just like me, black children and white children. And as I said to some teachers the other day, I'm not so much about discussion and conversation, but then the action. So I'm hoping that with all that I've said, you understand that my desire and my priority will be to close the gap between our students. It's got to happen. And it can't be in 2028 as designated in our equity plan. So that's my top priority, and that's what I want to see different as we go forward.
Dr. McNealy, how do you plan, or what initiatives would you put in place to close the achievement gap between black students and white students across the entire district?
Right. Well, one of the things in our DA schools, I know that we are giving extra instruction, maybe I think it's at least an hour per day of extra instruction. I would think that schools that are not DA schools and schools that have a high achievement in our white students, but our black students are still struggling and they are still maybe ones and twos. You've got to do some type of remediation for those children as well. Students need to understand in all schools that they can achieve. Reach out to some of the leadership in the community. There are great leaders in the black community who could really assist and help. Another thing that's missing, I think, the diversity of our staff in our schools. And at one time we had a recruiter who did nothing but look for strong African American staff to come into our system. But that went away, like so many of our other things. I think a diverse staff, a understanding administration, listening to the people who are in the classrooms, that's a must. Well, the magnet department probably would not agree with me, but in my magnet program, well, the first year, every child in the school, they were able to select their class that they wanted to study. And then the second year, we opened it up to the whole district. So back to the question, how do you get the other children involved? I think they are going to have a piece of that action. They may not qualify because of grade point average or test scores, but I think something needs to be done for them too. Do you all realize, and I'm going off now, do you realize how students feel when their friends that they have friendships with, and they are going in one side of the building, and all of these fun things are going on, and field trips to expand the knowledge, and they don't have it? Can you just feel that? Well, I'm going to be quiet because I will get emotional about things like that. It's not fair. It's just not fair. Well, the first thing, I said back some minutes ago, you've got to have someone who's really a good recruiter. But coming to Gainesville, and just because Gators who come from the University of Florida, we normally get some of those wonderful persons to stay because they may have a friend, a boyfriend, a husband who's still finishing, and so they stay for that period of time. But in order to get folk to come to the low performing schools, y'all don't make enough money. I'm sorry, I didn't mean y'all. The teachers do not have the right compensation for the types of work that is required of them in our low performing schools. If you're going to, and that's a union thing, I say it all the time, but in collective bargaining, the union will say it's not fair for you to give that kind of compensation for the teachers who work in the schools like that and not for all of the others. There's got to be other caveats other than just money. You've got to look at what are you offering the teachers? Are you doing anything other than trying to give them a little TESA money or a little UNICEF money? Sometimes it's not all about the money.
Great. Dr. McNealy, what are your thoughts about...
Are you going to say Lee for one time?
All right, Lee. What are your thoughts on school zoning, and would you consider rezoning schools to make them more diverse or prefer neighborhood zone schools?
Our schools are basically resegregated if you really look closely inside. Black children have been bused forever to make schools more diverse. And you all are too young to realize that. In my day, when I was in school, we were always bused. Always. But other cultures don't want to come east. So here's my thinking. There has to be some type of parameter and boundary. You wouldn't move the whole county around, but you've got to have some kind of way, the fringes and whatever, to make schools not be segregated. I'm all for rezoning.
Well, Dr. McNealy, thank you so much for your time.
It was Lee. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Lee, for your time. We very much appreciate you taking time out of your day and your very busy schedule